Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Comics-Watch. I am Nick. Joining me here, as always, is Super Wonder Cultist Jared.
It's good to see you, old man.
And we have a very special guest here for an interview where things have come hashtag full circle. We have Dre. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, Nick. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to actually be on the other side of the chair for once.
All right, so for a little context, I've been on Dre's show a couple of times interviewing about my comics. That's how I met him, similar to how I met Jared, actually. And so now I get to repay the favor by interviewing him, giving him promo for his books. So, how's that? So what you been up to, man?
Well, a lot actually. Of course, as you know, I just wrapped up my Indiegogo campaign for TREBLE, The Riddle Within, the trade paperback version, and it was a resounding success. So I'm very, very happy about that. After 8 grueling issues of the TREBLE Riddle Within series, finally putting it all together for the first trade paperback of my career. So it's it was something. It was like I haven't gone on that type of campaign trail ever. So it was a new experience for me to burn the midnight oil in that regard instead of just the creation part. But the campaigning, oh boy, what an experience it was. But had a good amount of support, a lot of people sharing. Was able to fund it, like a lot of great things. A lot of great things. I'm a very proud panda, but I am a tired one. I'll tell you that.
Yes. Forever asleep. Earned it I have.
Indeed.
So tell me about before we share the pages, kind of tell us about this comic, like how you created it, what it's all about. Give us all the details, please.
Sure, absolutely. So I came up with this concept decades ago at this point. And I had once asked myself, what would happen if music gave you superpowers? That is what I asked myself when I was 14, I think. When I was 14 years old, I asked myself that question. And
so what if I were to beat a mother effer to a beat?
That and if that beat gave me a different ability. You know,
yeah. The beat gave me a different way to beat a mother effer. There's so many,
exactly. So I came up with the idea when I was about 14 years old, but at the time I didn't have the linguistic skills to actually put it together. But but at the time I was still writing shorts for the Washington Post. For those that remember the funnies on Sunday newspapers, for those that are old enough to remember that. Yeah. So I started off there trying to do little comic strips here and there. Wrote a couple short stories from that point forward, but I've always let this idea fester for years. And after doing a couple of one shots for a couple other people, did a couple writing comic jobs for a few other folks, and my own little mini series that I was working on, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna revisit that. I'm gonna go and revisit that thing I came up with when I was like a little kid. Let's revisit that. And I had to do a lot of research on the mental, emotional, and psychological effect that music has on the mind, and actually go through the also physical and stereotypical aspects of music to try to make these transformations happen. So this entire story is an action adventure musical that is founded in based in my hometown of Washington D.C.
Nice.
In which a water-based mutagen has been placed into the water supply of my dear city, which causes a virus known as the chills. And this virus only affects people with O negative blood. Now, why in the world would I choose
So
that?
what you're saying is the virus is like,
All right, everyone, chill.
How did I know you were gonna use that?
Jared, it's like he said that. Me and Jared, we shared a look, and like he saw my hand move. He's
Yeah, I was
Jared,
like, he's going for that clip. I know what he's doing.
Yeah,
All right,
so
I saw the opportunity.
you can't pass that up. You can't pass an opportunity like that. So yeah, so I chose O negative blood because I had to do research on the blood types in my city, and I wanted to pick one that was rare but not extremely rare, so I can be able to build a rogues gallery around my character. So you can have a simplistic way of how these abilities are happening, why doesn't everybody get powers or whatever. So it's able to streamline how the world works without having to go overtly into a lot of details. So so it was a lot of fun. Had a lot of research, a lot of science and math involved when trying to put this project together. But we follow our main character, who is named Zamir Green. And he is a 17-year-old high school student that just finished the 11th grade, and he's aspiring to be a DJ. But unfortunately, he catches the virus, and then things start spanning out of control from there. So it's a heck of a fun adventure, absolutely.
So let's see what we're dealing with here. You like you said, you did a campaign for it.
Yes, absolutely.
And then are you currently doing what's the name for it when it's
In
like
demand?
after the
Yeah, In Demand is live. Yeah.
Okay, so this is in demand. So basically, if you like what you see here, you can still back it. You can still grab a copy.
Absolutely.
I gotta say, man, that trailer is called that name. Can we play it?
Absolutely. I hate to sound my own voice, but go ahead and run it anyway.
All right.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Dre, the Brute Daniels, and welcome to my Indiegogo launch for Treble, the Rhythm Within. Yes, rejoice, my children. This is a glorious day. This comic has been a labor of love for many, many years, and I'm trying to bring it to as many people as possible. So just to whet your appetite, let me introduce to you Treble, the Rhythm Within. Welcome to Treble, the Rhythm Within. This comic series is an action-adventure musical that dives into the power of music. We begin our story in Washington, D.C., and someone is poisoning the water with a mutagen. Then we meet our hero, Zamir Green, a 17-year-old that has just wrapped up the 11th grade and is really looking forward to summer vacation. Oh, yeah! Unfortunately, he has been exposed to a powerful water-based virus. While performing at a house party, he begins to mutate, and things in his life are changed forever. Oh, no. He now gains a different ability based on the genre of music that he listens to. He is thrust into an adventure filled with heroics, heartbreak, and triumph. Will he succeed in saving his city, or is Washington, D.C. doomed? Now that you've got a taste, let me tell you why I need your help. The funding will be going to printing of this graphic novel and to fund more comics in this series. I really would appreciate all of your help and support in this manner, and I got a lot of cool perks. Just check it out below. I can't wait to see how much you guys really love this book. It's been a part of me for some time. I really look forward to it, and I would love to hear what you guys think about it. I'm gonna leave my social media in the little square below where my face is, at TheBrute00 on Twitter, X, and Facebook, and my YouTube channel. Definitely let me know what you thought of my work. From the bottom of my heart, I really thank you all for giving my project a chance, and I'll catch you all next time.
That's such a great trailer.
I gotta say, man, I love your energy in this trailer. Like it's really good. And like the little thing,
cheering was such a good touch.
The Randy Savage drop, like, oh yeah,
that was so good. Oh man,
yeah.
So that's like, well, boy, do I hate to sound my own voice, but yes, but this project was a resounding success. but the perks I really
Yeah.
like putting together this go round. The digital release, the prints, all of them are coming with custom bookmarks. And further down I'm doing the soundtrack for
Ooh.
comic as well. So that's actually in the works currently, and is pretty much about to wrap up. It's about to be done. So there's a lot of cool stuff going into this project. I'm really excited about, and I was actually able to bring this thing to life and bring it uh, to print pretty much. So I'm really fired up. I'm really excited that this has gone over so well.
That is insane, man. What you've done is just honestly really great. Like, I love the art. Got the team here,
And the concept is actually really interesting because, for the most part, a lot of comic books with superheroes are mainly like they all get their superpowers in the exact same way. So
Exactly.
it's not like a lot of it's tough to find like unique projects. And when I look at this, I'm like, okay, that is actually like the amount of thought that went into this, and I'm like, what? Down to the blood type for
Yeah.
Also, it wasn't until you said the name of the title in the trailer you realized, oh, because treble is like treble and bass,
That's
and then
it.
also
It
you're
took
doing
you that long to I got that as soon as I saw the title. Some co-host you
also
are.
you're like treble trouble, like
Exactly.
respect, man, respect.
That's
Exactly.
excellent.
Play
I
on
love
words.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was fun. This was really fun to do.
Yeah, I really love the art. Like, this thing, honestly, it should have gotten like double what it's gotten, but hopefully with this one here, we'll be able to get you more people. But like, yeah, this is
Yeah,
really
that's
good.
great. And like shout outs to my artist, Federico. That's my man's. We've been friends for years and he's done tremendous work. We've worked together for many years now. We've worked on projects that's outside of this one. Like we've done so much, so much stuff now over the years. It's just something to behold. And like he's one of the best artists in the game. And I've been yelling his name from the rooftop for years now. And I'm glad that he's finding success and doing other things.
So,
It's
will
great.
there be a vinyl release of the soundtrack?
That's a good question.
Come on, you know you'd love to get like your comic on vinyl, your soundtrack on vinyl. You know you'd love it.
Yo, Nick, that's not a bad idea. I haven't looked into vinyl production as of yet, but of course, but I'm still old school. Like there will be CDs, there will be a classic CD cover, the whole 9 yards. So there's still a lot to be not a lot still cooking with it.
But a vinyl version, come on,
vinyl
man.
version would not be bad. It's not bad. That's not
Just
that's
imagine
not
like the
like
gorgeous art, the gorgeous like, and the vinyl comes with the comic.
Yeah, that would be
Because like
that would
vinyl's
be-
big enough, you could cram a comic in those linear notes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I gotta look into that. It's been a while since I looked into that form of physical media. But
with
yeah,
vinyl being as big as
something
it
to think about.
is, I'm sure it's not that it's easier now than it would have been like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, definitely. It would have been 100%, 100%.
Yeah, but so great. So we were talking about like your what was your inspiration for this? Like what kind, like you talked about how you created this a long time ago.
Mhm.
What was like the genesis of this?
Sure. So there's a great deal of inspiration that I took. One is from the original Static run, from the
Ooh.
early '90s. I took a great deal of inspiration from that from that story, with his Rogues Gallery, the Bang Babies. For those that are familiar with that, I took a lot of inspiration from that, and it's like in an urban area, so I was able to really hone in on that type of environment. So that came into play. A touch of Uncanny X-Men from 1985 run. Yeah, 1985 run. Uncanny X-Men. I took a lot of inspiration from there because I still like the idea of mutates being involved in my story. So I took a lot of inspiration there. I also took inspiration from another writer named Sean McKeever. He's not a very well known, like he's not Frank Miller, you know what I mean? Like Sean McKeever, he wrote a comic called Sentinel back in like early 2000s, which was like an offshoot from X-Men. but it was like a very localized story about a young man who is very poor and lives at a junkyard, and he ends up finding a downed sentinel and reprogramming
Hmm.
to like be his friend. And there's a lot that goes down, and the story gets out of control, and a lot of things get messy. So I took a lot of inspiration from a lot of different places that I've been affected. Like there's some other stories in there too. A lot of pop culture inspired me as well. Martial arts films of the 70s, 80s. I took a
Mhm.
lot of inspiration from that as well. Yeah, but there was so many different pieces of myself that from different time periods throughout the years that I was able to funnel into one. I like to think cohesive idea.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's always interesting kind of hearing like where you get like where you get your ideas from. But I think like a lot of the good creators, well, we do have kind of like a one singular thing we get inspired from. We always kind of mix in little bits kind of here and there and whatnot. So like you said this kind of been a long time coming. Like what's been like the delay? Like what's kind of been keeping you from bringing us this beautiful thing?
Oh, so just a lot of there was side projects. There was the and quite frankly, that a lot of us writers go through doubt. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
doubt
Yeah.
of your quality of writing. Because I knew this was going to be my. I knew when I was 14 that this was going to be my Citizen Kane. You know, I knew it then,
We all
but
have that thought.
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh, I'm not good enough yet. I'm not like I don't have the skills. Oh, what if people don't like it? There's a lot of self doubt that goes into that, especially
Mhm.
when you were young, when you're young and just got ideas. So a lot of that went into it. Then there was other projects that I wanted to pursue at the time, and some of them were successful, some not so much. But it was just, it finally all the dominoes kind of lined up the right way, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna
Mhm.
pull the trigger on this." I'm like, I said, I've held this off for years and years. I'm like, yo, enough is enough. Like,
Yeah. There
like
kind of comes a point in everyone's life where it's like, frick it, I'll do it myself.
Well,
yep,
what's interesting is I was watching a video on Scott Snyder's YouTube channel, and he was talking about because the topic of the video was like how to deal with writer's block, and what he said is like the number one thing that really writer's block is like you said, it's you thinking, okay, so if I write this, it's going to be crap. But
yep,
then he said, so to do that, just fight through it, write it. You can edit it later, just get it out.
get it out.
Yeah, like that kind of reminds me of like some wisdom from like the novelist circles. The novelist circles
Mhm.
is your first draft is going to be crap. Deal with it. So it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter what it is. Just get it on paper and get it done. Because like Jared said, you can always edit it later. What's important is you do it. Is that
Yep,
you get it done. You get that first draft done because the first draft is half the battle. The other half is knowing.
yeah, and I could not agree more.
Jared gets the joke.
I can only
Yeah.
say, Nick, the only thing I have to say to that is Yo Joe.
I see what you did there.
Thank you, thank you, thank
But
you.
yeah, but you're absolutely correct. That getting it on paper, and that's kind of like one of the things I've been suggesting to a lot of new writers. Um, it's just put it on the paper. It's
Mhm.
I wish there was someone back then that gave me that advice.
Yeah,
It's like just put it on the paper. Just screw it. Just put it on the paper, and because you can't go nowhere but up. You
yeah.
can't go nowhere but up. So, but I'm glad that I'm in a position where I can give that advice to newer up and coming young writers that
So,
have
speaking of
skepticism.
advice, what other advice would you have for newer up and coming writers? Like let's say there's someone. Let's say you're talking to someone beyond the screen right now. What would you say? What kind of stuff would you say to
So of course, first and foremost, of course, get on paper, obviously.
Mhm.
them?
Number two is ignore self-doubt. Ignore self-doubt.
Yeah.
Because like in because if you write it and maybe it sucks. Maybe it does suck, and you can look at it and see that it does. But now you're able to actually see it on the page, and now you can grow. Now you can change. Now you can evolve it
Mhm.
because no one's the bigger critic of myself than me, and that's the same way that most writers are. Because yes, we're always afraid of somebody that we might respect or somebody that has certain level of clout to go and look at our work and
Hmm.
then not like it. That's always going to be in the back of our minds. But self-doubt is so self-destructive that it'll do so much harm. The third thing that I would tell somebody up and coming and new is pretty much do not be afraid of criticism. Do not be afraid of it, because criticism, whether it's from a good place or a bad place, you have an opportunity to grow. Everybody's not going to like your stuff. That's just reality. Now, and I've said this a couple of times. I was actually I think that was last year I did oh boy, one of the virtual cons I did last year, and there were people there asking me questions, and I said to them, yes, everybody's not going to like your work. Yes, there's going to be criticism. Absolutely. Everything isn't for everybody. But just because somebody doesn't like your work doesn't mean your work isn't good.
Exactly.
And that's the kicker. There's a difference between quality and fandom. There's a difference. You can have something that's high quality that just doesn't tickle somebody's fancy. It doesn't mean that your work is bad.
It's like, case in point, there are plenty of people that aren't big fans of Jim Lee's art. I don't know who these people are, but that doesn't mean Jim Lee's a crappy artist.
Exactly. The principle remains the same. Like quality is undisputable. That's the thing. People confuse fandom and quality pretty often.
Yeah.
But quality is undisputable. Like, for instance, Godfather is a tremendous film. It's not up for debate. It's what it is. Now, you might not like The Godfather for whatever reason, but you might not like The Godfather, but it's not up for debate. It's a tremendous film. Writing, directing, acting, production. It's undisputable good. So those are the advice that I would definitely give new and upcoming writers. Absolutely.
One day, you're going to do something for me.
Yeah.
Nice, Nick. That's good. That's good. But
it's another film, like you mentioned it earlier, Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane.
I find Citizen Kane to be immensely boring. I think it's way too slow, but it is still one of the greatest cinematic achievements of all time.
Absolutely.
Or it's like in my case, the Snyder Cut. I think it's one of the best superhero movies ever, but some people think it's like too long or it's too like epic.
It's 4 hours long, Jared.
It's 4 hours long, but I've seen it 15 times, so don't judge me.
Good Lord, man.
Well, not everyone is a freak like you, so.
But the whole thing about self-doubt, I myself really dealt with that doing a YouTube channel, but then what I remember is it starts to go away. Yes, you're going to have people that are going to critique your work, but the minute you get that one person that said, hey, your stuff really spoke to me, that is like the greatest feeling in the world.
The coup de grace.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah, it's like a glass of ice water in the desert. Yeah, you're still hot, you're still sweating, but oh, did that water feel good?
It's like one of my viewers told me that my channel got him back to reading comics after 30 years. So I'm like, you know what? I'll take that, and that like eliminates self-doubt, because I'm like, you know what? I'm having some impact.
Yes.
Yeah, like that it's like no matter what, even if you fall flat on your face, you can rest easy knowing you've at least done something. You've made some sort of impact. As long as you can change one person's life for the better, then you have made a positive impact on this world and you are a winner.
Yeah, when Absolutely. I did YouTube, it was like, I really don't care if I get like millions of views and millions of subscribers. As long as one person finds something of value of what I put out, I've done my job.
Precisely. And that's the exact same view that newer writers should take. It's the exact same thing. And I think that will do well, not only for your creative process, but also for your own self-confidence. And that goes a long way.
Yeah, one thing that I'd add, and this is kind of advice that's going increasingly more important, is ignore the FUD. Like, ignore all the negativity, ignore all the drama, ignore all the oh, everything's bad, everything's dying, and just do what you love.
Yep.
Because it's like, yes, you can fertilize a garden with crap, but that doesn't mean it smells good.
That's true. That's true. And the thing is, you can fertilize it with crap. There's still a strong possibility something can grow.
And something will grow, but that doesn't mean people are going to want to come see it.
Exactly. No, I mean, they want to come see it, but something will grow. So it's that way, but that's the way the industry is. That's the way the game goes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I guess we'll kind of transition to our discussion topic. And you, as a person who interviews people, you talk with people. We're all kind of in the same game here. That's kind of one thing that like I've seen, and I like with my content, I try to make an active thing to avoid is, yes, drama posting gets clicks, negative posting gets clicks.
Yes,
but I would rather take the hit to my views than get caught in this toxic game.
Because when you think about it, if like there's all this negativity on the internet, if you're the positive guy, all of a sudden you're unique. You stand out.
Walk into the light, and they will walk with you.
If you build it, they will come.
yeah.
I was trying to do a Man of Steel reference, but fly, my son, it's time.
Yes, thank you. That was
yeah,
the Snyder cut, but okay.
Hey, but Andre, what's your take on all this?
So my thing is this. Like I always try to consider myself a positive Pete. When it comes to especially when it comes to creativity. Because there's so much that goes into the process of somebody having the courage to actually put something out there and a lot of stuff like that. And I believe that I've always been pretty generous when it comes to my reviews of people's work, especially in the independent community, because I know how much work it takes to get something done, especially not something coming like because we're not backstroking and gold coins like Marvel and DC used to be, but but I will agree with that when it comes to my outlook. When it comes to independent work, I definitely try to remain positive and give helpful critiques that will help elevate the work and not beat somebody down. Because that doesn't help anybody. That doesn't do anything for anyone. And I can honestly say that over the years, that I've helped out a lot of people in the independent sphere and help elevate their work and help them reach audiences and help build their confidence. So like on that front, I agree. I think positivity is definitely the way to do it, but still have honesty in amongst that positivity. I think that would do a lot of good.
Yeah, and I think over time, that's going to be the case. I keep hammering this home. I really feel like we're kind of at a tipping point with things. I feel like we've been having like this black hole of just everything for like the past at least 5 years, and I feel like people are kind of getting sick and tired of it because like COVID was like kind of the pits.
Oh yeah.
And now that we're kind of getting out of that, I think people are because you really started to see it with like a shift in the stories. Like before COVID, people were okay with like everything's crap, but like during COVID, everyone wanted that positivity. They were clamoring for it. And now I think people still want that positivity.
I agree.
Because even though we're out of the worst of it, so to speak, the world's not like all suddenly sunshine and rainbows.
Oh no, not even
no. And now I think people really, really do want, they need it. And I'm happy to provide it. Jared's going to provide with his comic, and I think your comic definitely will add to that pile.
And that's one thing I always wanted to emphasize as well. I'm glad you brought that up because the level of negativity that's out there in the world, whether it's be politically, socially, whatever way you want to spin it, that's one thing I've always made it my business to remove from my work. Because I like no matter what your personal views are, like what religion you are, whatever the case may be, everybody likes to kick back with escapism. And I think there's a big hole in especially in the entertainment sphere when it comes to escapism. There's always somebody trying to push an agenda either which way or whatever way, tell you how to
trying to argue that all art is political and whatnot.
And which is completely untrue. In my personal opinion, things that aren't political is what's universally loved, and the viewing public has proven that time and time again. The thing
that wins, the things that always push through are the ones with universal themes.
That's correct. It's undefeated, and that's the same thing. Like no matter what I believe in or what my personal views are, I make sure that stuff is not in my writings. I make it my business to be like, hey, this is for everybody. Everybody
Yeah.
can enjoy this.
Because we think
And
about it, it doesn't make a business sense to say, okay, only this group of people can enjoy my work. Okay, you just limited who has access to your stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, as a comic book creator, the very worst thing you can say.
Oh, Nick's getting the clip. I know exactly the clip he's getting right now. It's my favorite.
Don't like my politics. Don't buy my book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you called it, Jared. And it's like, and the thing is, like, this is what I say to people: I don't create black characters, I don't create white characters, I don't create gay characters. I create characters. Like, that's literally, I create the character first. I create like their wants, their needs, their desires, all that stuff, and then later I assign them like a race or a gender or an orientation or anything. That is like ancillary.
And like, here's what's key: when you assign like a race or a gender or any of those characteristics, you don't make that all that character is. That's partly why a lot of the diversity stuff kind of falls flat with what the
Bobby,
big
you're
doing
gay
right now.
Bobby,
yeah, because
you're gay.
It's all that, or like they're super stereotypical, so it just falls flat. Whereas like you have a character like Jessica Cruz, Green Lantern, who she's a Latina female, but that's not really all she is a Green Lantern. Precisely. She just happens to be, she's constantly fighting through fear. So they made her unique in a way that's not like entirely her gender.
And that's
I look at your comic book. And yes, it has a lot of urban themes, but I you're not doing it in a way that's like, oh, this is a black comic book. This is just a comic book that stars black people, and it's set in an urban environment, but it's not that for it's for everybody, basically.
It's for everybody, and you're hitting the nail right on the head. Like I like for quite a few years now, there's been this push about like what somebody is, identity, whatever case may be. Mm-hmm. I've always believed, and I believe the majority of people have believed, when it comes, especially when it comes to this genre, I'm a superhero that happens to be black.
Yes.
That happens to be Latino. That happens to be woman. Not I'm a black guy that happens to be a hero.
Look at John Stewart, Green Lantern from the Justice League cartoon. For the longest time, I thought he was the only Green Lantern. When I saw Hal for the first time, I was like, who the hell is this white guy?
or like, for example, The Boys, Queen Maeve. I think she's a perfect example of a queer character done right. Like, her being queer is it's used against her because
they make a joke about this in the show.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, you can have these characters, you can have these like different types of things, but when you make it their soul defining character trait, or
because what you are physically, things that you have absolutely no control over, is not your character. Mm-hmm. That's not a character trait. Like, what's your character? I'm black. No, that's what your skin color is. Who are you? I see. When then you start having to roll that, I've had it several times in my
career.
Like,
what's your character? What's your character trait? This character's gay. This character's trans. Like, that's literally their entire personality trait. I'm like, that's not interesting.
Well, we literally have a perfect example of this done right. Chris Claremont's X-Men. Just because he created a lot of female character stuff, but he was like, okay, how do we make these guys actual characters? Like, Storm went through an entire identity crisis and then became the leader of the X-Men.
Exactly.
In the 80s. In the 80s, mind you.
And that's how it worked. And so I grew up during a time period when all this race stuff was pretty much waning. Okay. When I was growing up, this was a non-issue when I was coming up. When my father was young, obviously there was still probably
Andre, I'm assuming you were probably around the same age as I am. Like, we're talking like late 90s, early 2000s when
that's not 80s, nice, Nick. He wasn't with the 90s. Dinosaurs.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. Like that's the time I grew up in, and by that time, this race stuff was done. It was over with. There was blacks and whites and Mexicans. We were all. I grew up in Washington D.C. Yeah. It's a melting pot of this country. Okay, like there's every race in a city this big. Okay,
like,
so it's like
I would argue the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air could not have been done today, and I'm not saying that because of its content. I'm saying the way it approached content. Yes. Like the way it approached, like the way the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and that's early 90s, but still, the way the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air approached like race issues, they approached it in a way where like, we're not telling you guys you're evil. We're telling you this okay, this is my show. This crap happens. This crap happens in our neighborhoods. We're telling you this happens. We want you to be better. We want people to be better, but we're not lecturing you. We're just, and it's like even like Static Shock in like in the 2000s. Like that racism episode is amazing. Because they actually had the racist guy get better. He learned his lesson. Like nowadays, it's all about punishment. It's all like nowadays, if they did an episode now, like that guy would get flogged. He would not have gotten better. But no, he actually learned his lesson. He was lectured.
He became a better guy. And that's the thing. Growing up with me, my like to time watching media was like in the early 2000s, but it was like, none of this stuff really mattered because again, Justice League, when I saw Jon Stewart, I didn't see Black Green Lantern. I just saw Green Lantern.
Exactly.
When I saw like Wonder Woman, I didn't see female Superman. I just saw Wonder Woman. It doesn't matter.
One of my favorite episodes of Family Matters is when the son gets pulled over by a cop, and it turns out he was arrested for driving while black, and his father confronts him, and the guy says, "We wouldn't have pulled him over if we had known he was the son of a cop."
Exactly.
And the guy says, "I don't know how that badge stays on. It's pinned to slime." Like, oh my god, I love that episode.
Exactly, and just, I'm glad you brought that up, Nick, because when you look back at content from late 80s, 90s, 2000s, that's even talking about these type of controversial things of like black community or whatever the case may be, it was done so tastefully that would just allow people to think and make their own conclusions. They didn't beat you across the head with, if you do it, you're a bad person, and if you think this way, then you're a phobeist, whatever. Like this all came about maybe 5-6 years ago, tops.
10 years at most.
Done with this. And now the idea is now everything is anti-white male. I'm like, listen, two wrongs don't make a right. Racism is wrong on every level.
We were so over it. We were so over it to the point that when gay marriage was legalized in like 2015, nobody cared.
No one
cared. Because you know why? Here's the thing. I always think of what I think it was Morgan Freeman. He said, "You know how you solve racism? Don't talk about race."
I know exactly the clip you're talking about.
Just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't care.
He's right. He's right. Like literally, I did not. I experienced. Okay, this is what I was saying. When I'm growing up, yes, we had some issues with the police. That was always a thing. That's cultural stigma, and that's definitely something that needed to change. And police reform was extremely important. 110%, even to this day. I agree. Outside of that, socially, I had no problem with white folks. I didn't have no problem.
You on a show with us, dude?
Yeah, I had no problem. Like white folks didn't hate me for being black.
See, Dre, when I look at you, I don't see a black man. I just see a man. That's all I see.
It doesn't matter.
That's where I came up.
When I see Nick, all I see is an old man.
You see, that's it. This is my thing. But decades later, we're in the 2000s and whatever, and now out of nowhere, we're back to hatred and segregation, and I'm just like, wait a minute, man.
And I think this is a problem.
It's worse. They're saying segregation's a good thing now. Wait.
And so then from more like the white person perspective, it's like there's so many people. It's like, I don't hate black people. Why do I have to like check my privilege? Why do I have to like apologize for stuff my ancestors did? Like,
and that's the
that's pissing people off. Like,
I don't like that at all. My thing is,
you want me to treat you like a human being? Congratulations.
You want me to treat you like everyone else because let me put it this way: the absence of racism is me treating someone like just one of the guys, regardless of like any characteristic. Yeah, I'll do that. Fine, doesn't matter.
That's correct, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But people want to be special class and all other nonsense.
They want to be. They want to complain.
You just hit the nail on the head there,
Andre. I'm sorry to inform you that you are a normal human being.
I know. I'm not special. Can you believe it?
You're just as normal as the rest of us. Holy crap.
Who would have thought that melanin didn't make me special? Like, it's nonsense. And like what you said, Nick, was perfect, because I had to explain this to one of the other individuals that I have to deal with. And they were like, oh, the white man, and blah, blah, blah. I said, let me be clear as I possibly can. I said, ain't no white man alive today ever owned a slave. Not one. Not one. They're all gone. So the idea that we are going to hold every white person accountable for something that happened 100 some odd years ago.
150 at least.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like it's time to let that mess go.
Or
These
how
white
about
folks ain't got
the
nothing to do.
families who emigrated to the United States after that was abolished?
Yeah, think about that. Think
Or
about like
even better,
Irish or Scottish
I'm
folks.
Irish.
Yeah,
I'm
see?
like where's my
I'm
reparations?
Italian.
Yeah, see,
I'm
Like,
Irish. Where's my
Scottish folks,
reparations?
I'm like, what am I going to do? Come on, Irish man, like you owe me money. I'm like, listen, I know my history, and I know Irish folks.
Oh,
are just
even better.
one
What if
step
you're
above
Black
my
Irish?
people.
What if you're a Black Irishman? Like, oh
Yeah.
my god,
Yeah, what do you do?
double.
Yeah, you're a Super Saiyan. Like, what am I supposed to do?
You're a Super Saiyan.
Bring a beer.
awesome.
Bring a beer.
That's awesome. I love that.
Oh my god, yes. See why I love this guy, Jared?
That is awesome.
So all right, let's wrap this thing up. We got a lot of good conversation. Like we're actually towards the end, we had a really good conversation there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andre.
Of
So
course.
any last things you want to say to people before we go?
Sure, absolutely. First and foremost, thank you for having me. This was really fun. Always love chilling with you, Nick, and it was great meeting you, Jared. For all those that are new and just meeting me, I'm happy to meet you all. You can follow me on all my social media platforms at the Brute00 on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that great stuff. And check out my YouTube channel, Brutal Planet Comics, where I talk about everything in the media, review comic books, have awesome creators like Nick on and interview them as well. Check me out and all that great stuff. And if you are interested in my comic, it is still in demand on my Indiegogo. I'm sure there'll be a link in the description section below. Definitely check it out. If it tickles your fancy, I would appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Jared, any last words you want to say?
Lois Lane sucks.
Well, that's
kind of my thing I say on this.
Well, that's a stone cold fact. We all know that. So.
Thank you.
All right. So please check out Andre's comic. It's currently in demand on Indiegogo. It's a great comic, great art. Andre's a great guy. And I'm Nick from the Phoenix Press. Thank you, everyone. And remember, I can only show you the door. You're the one